And it's a good point about gaming. First of all, the Angry Birds, yeah, like you said, it was simple to play and it got people involved. But I remember trying to play Grand Theft Auto, I think 10 years ago, and the controller was so complicated. And I just wasn't very good at it, and I kind of quit quickly. And it was, again, maybe only for a reserved audience that wanted to put the time in. But you want to get everybody involved in gaming based on their skill level is what you're trying to do.
Well, no. So, I mean, yes, of course, we want everyone to get involved in sort of gaming, but really what we want to do is get everyone involved in joining the metaverse. And gaming is the angle to do that best, because gamers today already have a relationship which is quasi-metaverse. So the metaverse obviously is not a new term in and of itself. But when you take a look at history, if we had talked about the metaverse 20 years ago, it would have been way too early for people to think about something that like this being possible, because the audience of the world wasn't quite ready for that. But now we've gone through 3, maybe even 4 generations of people who have played games, who are very comfortable with this, who treat their virtual gaming experiences really as very real anyway. And by real, I don't mean that they think there's value there per se, but they look at these experiences as precious to them. They look forward to the game. They make friendships there. There's real feelings, emotions, love, hate, whatever feelings they have, those are real. And so now this virtual plane of engagement is very, very real to them and very meaningful. And so it's missing that one thing, which is true ownership. And it's missing something that makes it even more meaningful to them, not in an immersive way, but in a substantial, maybe economic or emotional way. And that's where the metaverse comes in with true ownership. And I want to stress true ownership, because only the open metaverse can really offer that. And that is actually what we care about. And gaming is essentially the way to get most people in there, because they already have a sort of, metaverse is 0.5 experience.
And how do you define metaverse? If you had to tell my mother what the metaverse is, or tell someone on the streets, you kind of described it there, but how would you tell it to a cold audience? What is it?
Well, at a very surface level, right? For the basic one, it's basically the virtual plane. It's the metaverse in the sense that it's the meta land, which essentially is a virtual existence where all of us as, citizens of the world, as it were, citizens of the metaverse, would interact, virtually with communities. And with one big difference, though, I say the real metaverse, just like in the physical world, only can really become real and meaningful to us when we actually have a stake in it, right? And that's what makes it real. If we don't own a stake in it, just like in the physical world, then actually it's not really real at all. It's basically, make-believe, or we're working for someone else. But either way, it's not reality as we would define it, right? But to make it real, you have to own a stake in this. So our biggest differentiator about, if you take a look at, let's say, Facebook, or even today, Microsoft announced, or just about every other company, I'm just counting down to which company isn't doing the metaverse pitch, right? However, looking at what companies like Facebook are doing, they want the metaverse to be their place to be under their particular environment. And, to me, that's not the metaverse, that's Disneyland. It might be fun to be there, but you actually don't have ownership in there, and it's fun to be there for a few days. But if you actually had to really live there for the rest of your life, it's going to be a nightmare. It's going to be very dystopian. And that's kind of where we think the open metaverse is different. And so I would say, the real metaverse is the one that is open, in one that is owned by the majority, right? And therefore has the interest of the majority in mind, not the minority, which is what the closed metaverse is actually more like.